So Checkpoint just released a few new appliances. And I'm normally not so excited about appliances, but this time, well, these appliances are shipping with R82.10. So this is a release I haven't seen yet. I haven't even seen an EA program for it. And they're also using Intel ARM. So that's a different type of CPUs. And this is a replacement for the smaller type of boxes. So if we check here, we see here that we have the two desktop type models, and then we have two larger form factors. So first of all, the performance on these ones look pretty nice, I would say. And these appliances can already be ordered, and today it's June 7th. And these boxes, they are replacing the 3600 and 3800. And here's the reason why I know it's R82.10 on them. So they are supported release with R82.10. They haven't written any like specific like this is Spark or whatever. So these are actually coming with real Gaia. Yes, there are some caveats, but they're coming with real Gaia. So that's good. So these are more or less the replacement for like the 2200, the 3100, the 3200, 3600, 3800 if you have such before. So if we check the product catalog, we can see that these boxes have received quite a good spec bump, meaning finally Checkpoint is releasing the boxes with at least 16 gigs of RAM and 480 gigs of storage. And this is necessary if we're going to run full Gaia. And this is also the reason why I think that you should not hope for a porting of this Gaia to older Spark modules. So if we check here in the list, we can actually see like, yes, the 3600, 3800, they are full Gaia, but the Spark, they're not listing the storage and RAM here, only the bigger ones. So if you're not aware of this, there has been an appliance hardware list for many years, and currently I'm managing this. So it's a Google spreadsheet more or less, and if you want an appliance model to be updated here, just comment on one of my YouTube videos and I will update the spreadsheet. But what I wanted to show here is that these smaller boxes, so these ones, they are currently the Spark family. So if we go out the end here, we see here that the appliance series is Spark, and the smaller boxes have 8 gigs of storage and 16 gigs of storage and very limited amount of RAM. So I wouldn't hope for this Gaia version to be ported to this because I don't think the hardware is there. Maybe for these bigger boxes, like the 2000 and 1900, maybe, because they at least have the storage capacity needed. They also have the memory needed. But if they actually have the correct CPUs or whatever, I'm not sure. And if we check like the older models, like the ones they are replacing, they were previously made on Intel Atom. And the even smaller boxes, they have been made on these ARM CPUs, but they have never been running Gaia before. They've always been running a Gaia Lite version. And this doesn't have all the features. And when we're talking about features, there is an SK called SK183199. Now we'll zoom in here so you can see. And this is just updated because the appliances was just released. And if we check here, this SK is for all the new appliances that was released. And there are a lot of limitations. So yes, they're running Gaia and they're running R82.10. But as of now, I would say it's either a stripped version or it's not tested. And I would think that it's not tested enough to actually support all of these features. And some of these features, they are more or less requiring specific ports. And all of these appliances doesn't have these ports. So for example, the smallest boxes doesn't have a dedicated sync port. And the same goes for VS Next and Maestro configuration as well. So before you're buying these type of appliances, make sure to check the limitation. But I would also say like this, these are smaller appliances that is meant for like small offices. And I'm glad it's still full Gaia, or I don't know, Gaia Lite Plus or whatever. We don't really know yet, but as far as the communication that has been, it's a full Gaia with limited features. But at least it's full Gaia. You can find a datasheet on each of the appliances on Checkpoint's website. So this is the 3920. And even this little box, this desktop unit, I mean, they're saying it's pushing 20 gigs firewall. So, well, things happens with new CPUs. New CPUs and new code that gives a lot of performance boost. Keep in mind, like, you're not supposed to run only firewall, you're supposed to run a few new blades. And as soon as you enable blades, the performance go down. And same goes for SD-WAN and VPNs and all that sort of stuff, because it's requiring multi-cores and it running a lot of processes to manage things. So if we scroll down here, we can see the physical hardware on this box. So we see that it has a dedicated management port. We see that it has 8 1 gigs LAN interfaces. And we also see that it has SFP and SFP Plus. And nice to see console with USB-C. So USB-C is really going forward. And it actually has dual power supply. So I'm quite impressed that it has dual power supplies. I'm impressed that it has SFPs. And here we see that it has one CPU with 6 physical cores, 16 gigs of RAM and 480 gigs of NVMe disk. So I also believe, because this is the first datasheet I have seen where Checkpoint is using NVMe drives for an appliance. And here you see like real performance when it's going with the HTTPS inspection. So going down from 20 gig to 0.9, there you see the difference. So these like generic performance labs metrics, you shouldn't care about them. So at least check for these ones. The enterprise conditions, this is more real world, and they also state what sort of blades or features they're actually using for this one. But I would say this is a small branch office with not a lot of people on it. So one of the questions in the forum was like, is this a switch? Or what is this? Because on bigger appliances, all ports has been real routed ports. Like, it's not a switch. But on the SMB boxes, I mean the Spark boxes, they have been LAN switches. So if we open up the hardware guide here for rear panel on 3920, we see here under number 6, we see here that it's 8 times 1 gig RJ45 ports. And it says that these are switch ports. So based on this appliance series getting starting guide, it is switch ports. So this is the first time I have seen the real Gaia appliances with switch ports, meaning it's a different type of port, and they're saying pseudo switch ports. Okay, what does that mean? Here there is an explanation on what the switch port actually means. So there are regular physical ports and switch ports, and these grouped together are switch ports, and the other ones are regular ports. And if you want to see the difference or read about the difference, you need to read this yourself and check what it actually means and how they process the traffic, so to say. But they are pseudo switch ports. So if we continue to scroll down, we also see like some features that it are highlighting. So for example, that yes, it has dual power supplies. Yes, it can run like Cluster XL via RP. It still can do IPv6. It can do some routing with BGP, etc. But as I said, if you want to check for limitation and actually features that it's possible to do, make sure to see the SK, this SK, so you know what you're getting yourself into. If we go for the little bigger boxes, we have a 3950. So this is one step up. It has more performance. So if we scroll down, so if we check the ports on the 3950, it still have the 1 gigs of LAN ports, and this one has 2.5 gigs of RJ45, and it has 10 gigs RJ45. So these are 10 gigs, and these are, I can zoom here. So here 10 gigs, 2.5 gigs, and here is 1 gigs. And then it has the console, both the RJ45, USB 3 and USB-C. It still have dual power supplies, and it has one on and off button. But if we go back and check like the 3920, and I will zoom in here as well, this one has SFPs. This doesn't have any SFP, so this is only RJ45, and this smaller box, it has the option to use RJ45 or to use SFP ports. So it's for me, that's a big difference, and it really depends on what your physical location, what's your incoming ISP, what's your possibility to connect these boxes are. So if we go back here to the 3950, we see that it has more cores, it has more RAM, it has the same amount of storage, and it has more performance. Not a lot more performance, but it has more performance. And let's see if this one has any switch ports. So we go to the guide, Appliance Get Starting Guide. So the rear panel, no, the front panel, we have here. I will zoom in so you see better. So the grouping of 1 here, they are pseudo switch ports, and for zero touch, use port 3. So if you're using zero touch, you need to make sure to check the real like getting starting guide to see, okay, which port should I use? Yes, it differs on them. But these 8 times 1 gig RJ45, they are switch ports or pseudo switch ports. And same goes for the 2.5 gigs ports. They're also pseudo switch ports. So if we go up one more step, we have the 3970. So this is the first one that is actually rack mounted. Yes, there are accessories for the smaller ones to get them rack mounted, but this is in the 19-inch form factor that is rack mounted from start. And we go down here. It has quite good performance, but if you remember, this box, the smaller box, has more. So the 3950 has more performance than the 3970. Yes, that's how it is. If we check the ports on this, it has a lot more ports, which is good. This is how you want to see an appliance. You want to see a lot of ports, a lot of possibilities. So let's see. So it has inbuilt power supplies. The other ones, they are like an external brick that you connect. So this is inbuilt power supplies, meaning it's harder to replace because they're not hot swappable. You don't see any hot swappable options here. In the other ones, there are bricks that you can replace. So yeah, but here you have 8 SFPs, 1 gig. Then you have 2.5 gigs, and then you have 18 1 gigs. And then you have the management and sync. So I think, or I hope, that this model will support ElasticXL in the future. And the reason why I think it will do it is because it has enough of performance, like CPU, memory, disk, and all of that, but it also have the physical ports requiring, meaning the sync and management. The smaller ones doesn't have it. I don't know. Currently, they do not support it, but I think this will come. I hope it will come. I haven't got any information, or this sounds like I have got, but I haven't got any information from Checkpoint, so I don't know. I have asked, but I didn't get a reply on it. And it also have 4 10 gigs SFP plus. So this is also good. It's 1 CPU, 8 core, 32 gigs of RAM, and 480 gigs of NVMe storage. And you see here internal power supplies. Here you have the performance metrics. And here we also have like the physical aspects, that it supports Cluster XL via RP, but ElasticXL is not listed, so it's currently not supported. And I'm quite impressed that they actually add noise level, because I would like a box like this just to put in my rack, but I rather not have fans in them at all. I want the fanless option to be able to lab better. But Checkpoint, if you feel like you want to send me boxes, this is a good box for me. So if we go back and check the appliance getting starting guide, we see here the front panel, and it's the same for 3970 and 3980. And let's see. So first we have the group of 5, 6, 7, and 8. No, 5, 6, 7, and 9. So are these switch ports or pseudo switch ports or regular ports? So it has a sync port. It has 8 SFP ports, and they are pseudo switch ports. They have 2 times 2.5 gigs. They are pseudo switch ports. They have 16 1 gig RJ45. They're also pseudo switch ports. Important if you use zero touch. It's Ethernet 11. So I don't know. But that would be the first like RJ45 port. It makes sense, but that's why you need to read the guide. And also the 10 gig SFP ports are pseudo switch ports. So I think all except the management and sync port on this specific appliances are pseudo switch ports. As I said, read this to figure out what that actually means. And if we go to the even bigger box, the biggest box that was released at this time, it has more performance. It has the same layout. It's still internal power supplies, not hot swappable. It has the same ports. It has 8 cores. It has 32 gigs of RAM, the same storage. I would guess it's just a higher module of the CPU. The rest is the same. It could even be like limited in software. I have no idea. Or licenses or whatever. But these two, the 3970 and the 3980, they are the same chassis. And it's the same core and RAM and storage. The 3920, the difference on RAM and CPU. So this is 8 core 32, 6 core 16. So that's the difference. So maybe you're wondering like, okay, should I use this smaller branch office's appliances, or should I go one step up? Because the 3980 is actually cheaper than the 9100. So why would you go for a 9100? Well, today the 9100, first of all, it supports ElasticXL, it supports Maestro, it has all the support for all the features. So this is one reason. If we check the datasheet on the 9100, as far as I know, but I haven't double checked this, these expansion ports or these expansion slots and the onboard cards, they're not pseudo switch ports. So this means it's real ports. It still have dual power supplies. It doesn't have like hot swappable, so that makes no difference. It's still only one power switch on and off. Same on the other one. It's a bit strange. I would think it would be one per like power supply, but it's not. This one has like the regular sync and management port. So the reason why I will still pick the 9100 is if we check the appliance spreadsheet, the 3900, it's used a normal 13 gen Intel i3 CPU. So a regular i3 13 gen CPU, meaning it has the correct old code. It's not an ARM CPU. And that means it still supports all the features like Maestro, ElasticXL, and all of that stuff. There's a lot bigger installation base, meaning they are aware of more issues, bugs, or whatever. So the performance metric on the 9100 is actually worse than the 3980, except for these ones. If you're going to do HDBS or TLS inspection, these are higher. So maybe the regular Intel CPU performs better on some stuff compared to the ARM CPU. It has light out management. So one thing that is really like really good or mandatory, I would say, in data centers, for example, is light out management ports. And light out management ports are missing on the 3900 series. So there is no light out management, which is sad. I think it should have been. So this is the key point if you're going for for me at least, if I'm going for something that is rack mountable, I will still go for the 9000 series. This may change in the future. Maybe you will get better prices on the 3900 series. Maybe it's better in some performance. For example, the 39 series that they really highlight on is SD-WAN. Maybe the performance for SD-WAN specifically is better. We don't know. But this is what they highlight. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.